UGREEN is a company I've enjoyed using before, primarily for their USB cables, and I've never had a problem. So when they said they were collaborating with Genshin, I jumped at the chance to explore their products even more. And honestly, if you're a fan of Genshin, these are actually kind of a no-brainer. Their UGREEN Genshin Impact series Knish-themed fast-charging adventure kit is pretty beautiful. Knish's bright green color palette here and some really nice shadow decals with Notlan inspired imagery add a layer of fun to a standard, regular old charger. Me personally, I've actually been on the lookout for a 65-watt charger that can charge a bunch of devices, like up to 3, at the same time, whether it's my phone, my ROG Ally X, or my watch. This thing has everything one could want or need when they're just chilling on the couch or on the go while taking, public transport or on a long road trip or, in an airplane. They also have a large 20,000 mAh capacity power bank. Wow. Look at this beautiful HAL-themed boot animation. It has a maximum 100-watt single-port output and a smart TFT display, which can tell you the charging status. And this series also has a Qi 2 15-watt wireless charger and a 100-watt cable with a HAL-themed cable tie organizer. And what's cool is that right now, if you check out the links in the description, you can get up to 30% off and enter into UGREEN's awesome giveaway for these amazing products. So definitely check that out. What's up, everybody? I am so excited because it's been a little while and I have been looking forward to listening to this. I just didn't have time. We're going to be checking out the Lord of Eroded Primal Fire, which is the boss music from Genshin Impact 5.3 update, and apparently this version also has lyrics. Oh, that's extremely cool. So, I mean, it's hard for me not to stop, so I'm going to. I love how the choir starts in the beginning. It's interesting because the way that we set up tension, so we're at 42 seconds in. Let's restart really quickly and listen. Amazing stuff. So what that is straight tone. And straight tone is really evocative. So here we have sopranos and altos in harmony, just a little bit out of unison. And that tone is very, very, very intentionally scary. It's all straight tone on one pitch. And that causes a sense of tension. I think if there was vibrato, it's a different intention. It's a different sound. I really think that this a cappella tone there, other than the support that we're getting underneath with the orchestra, so it's not actually a cappella, but there's no movement in the orchestra in that moment. Everything's kind of suspended, causes a definitive feeling of tension. So it slides up here. It's just going up, 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 tension, tension, stretching, stretching, crescendo. And this is dope. This is dope too. The other thing I wanted to mention about this little introductory section is that this little corner is on the lower part of the piano. It's incredibly percussive, obviously. I can't fully tell if that's the piano. I'm pretty sure it is. The lower register of the piano is so menacing. And when you hit it really hard with the keys, that's where the intensity comes in this particular sound. It has a very percussive thing. Did you know the piano is actually a percussion instrument? I know, shocker. But hammer hitting the keys. Most percussion instruments involve some sort of hitting, not all of them obviously, but in this particular case, the lower piano, especially in the very lower register, has an intensity about it that is really, really visceral and powerful, which is really cool. And there's a drone over top too. Nice. And that's cool too, because it's just bum, 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 bum. It's just hits. And the hits are really evocative, really effective, really dangerous sounding, and also incredibly menacing. Because again, there's a huge difference, and this is really remedial music stuff, but there's a huge difference between staccato hitting, bum, right? smacking, versus bum, 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 bum. That's way more lyrical. Why? Because it's got a legato. It's connected. Legato, legare is to connect. So it's a legato feeling in there that's totally different than bum, 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 which is super sharp and very intense. It's really interesting because there's a really beautiful mix here, a very declamato sort of heralding an arrival, especially with the male choir in there. Obviously, then we get it juxtaposed with the female choir, and there's a very strong brass presence as well. But then it's interesting because then we pivot into this, and again, this is like kind of surface level stuff. I mean, there are many shifts in modulations and key shifts that happen in that little corner of about a minute or so that I think are really interesting, that I wish that I had like the sheet music in front of me so that I could be like, oh, well, it's shifting to here and this dissonance here. It's very interesting. And I'm sure there's some channel that has done this that I would encourage you to go look. It's very, very, very interesting because the thing is right in front of us. There's no like wondering what this boss, I don't know what this boss is, to be honest, the Lord of Eroded Primal Fire, right? So like, let's assume that this is like the grand deity of the land, right? This is like looking at God, right? But it's like something's twisted about it, and it's interesting too because it must be a snake. Well, let me look at this picture. Oh yeah, okay. So it's like a dragon. It's like a dragon with like, so you can hear how I wasn't looking at the picture. So you can hear how there's this like swirling. Now that obviously is the fire. That could also be the actual like tail end of this dragon or the snake or whatever it is, like the sort of the looping quality. We got a little bit of this like very slippy slidey sound quality there, and that to me it represents that sort of not only the grandiosity or the size of this thing. This is kind of slip-slidey. So it has a bit of a snake-like movement to it where you feel like you're like turning corners on a really sharp turn or something. You know, there's a curve when you're driving through a mountain path. You've seen these mountain paths and they're very tight and it has to go from left to right really, really in a tight circle. That's what that sounds like there. And there's an inherent quality in it of like, whoa, a little bit of menace, but mostly of like, what is that? There's a sense of not reverence, but just being presented with this like force of nature. You know what I mean? Especially with the male and female choir. There's a elegant brutality about it, and I enjoy pieces with elegant brutality a lot because it's really fun to turn music violent. And we do that in ways like this, where there's a degree of pomp and a degree of nobility, especially with the way that the choirs are being sung there, but also a feeling of like, oh, this is not quite right. And I'm a little bit scared because this could turn ugly really quickly. You know what I mean? That's so cool. That's such a shout. That's such an expressive release, right? That's just so incredibly forceful. And it's almost like this thing climbs up into the sky, smacks the ceiling, or it like touches the clouds, and then it slams down or something. You know what I mean? It's really forceful. It's cool. And this is actually, no, it's not a cappella. There's strings. Strings are sustained. Tons of dissonance in here. Some diminished. Dum. Yes, it's got like a demonic quality in here too, which is really fascinating. So you've got underneath, you've got really sharp lower brass. It sounds like trombones / tuba. You know, there's also a religiousness to this sound. And I think part of the reason why I say that is because there's like a precision within the choral movement that feels really aligned with itself. Like all the choir is singing essentially together, even though they're singing their own notes, like they're moving at the same time. And this is very like choral, like 4-part harmony, very tightly aligned. It makes sense. But then on top of that, you also have the basses in the very lower part of the register. Then you have the tenors where they are, and then you've got the upper sopranos and the altos, which are, the sopranos are not very high. So generally speaking, this piece is a little bit lower to the ground. The tubas and the trombones and the French horns, what have you, those things are also lower. And so there's this like sort of demon, I don't know, it's really interesting because on the one hand, now I know that this guy has 2 elements. So on the one hand, it's like heaven and hell, right? It's like sort of symbolizing both aspects of interconnectedness within them, a yin and a yang, light and dark, or I guess in this case, maybe it's abyssal and whatever the other element, I don't know, flame, I guess, right? Lord of Eroded Primal. So maybe there's erosion and flame, I don't know. There's a duality in the sound, which is really interesting, because sometimes it's very like heralding, heroic, sort of like, you know, mighty, powerful. And then on the other half, it's kind of like, why is it so low? Like there's a little bit of villainy, a little bit of viciousness in it, a little bit of unholy qualities, so on and so forth, a million different adjectives. You know what I mean? Oh. Dun, 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 dun. Nice accent. Nice syncopation. Whoa, wow, that section's crazy. I like don't even know how to process what I just listened to, because it's, again, there's chaos. The themes of this are really like balancing light and darkness, and to me it's both like, wow, we found this Lord of Eroded Primal Fire, and also, oh no, we found the Lord. You know, like there's both like a blessing and something really positive about it, but there's also this feeling of like, uh-oh, we woke something up we probably shouldn't have. This dude's pissed. That's the duality that I hear when I listen to this piece. It's very interesting. I want to rewind actually to maybe 3 minutes, and let's listen to this. So there too, bum 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 bum, right? Very hard hitting, right? And also, that's worth pointing out, that's actually being done with the piano, and also the lower thing, that's just the lower parts of the piano, and also the brass, which is really, really fun. And then now the choir comes in, so this is interesting. It's very, very declaimed. It's announced. You've woken me up from my slumber, and now you shall face my wrath. I'm going to tell you who I am. And that because of this. Listen to this. Listen to the sopranos really quick. The male singers also did it, but listen to the sopranos. So that's cool. Da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da 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 da. That's really like, what have you done? You have angered me. You have enraged me. I am awake. I am on fire. I am mad. There's like a loss of the self there, which is really interesting. I mean, like, we're talking like subtle stuff, but like, why would they go da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da 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 da? That motif, that little melodic phrase, has to represent something. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's very impressive. So we have this natural buildup and culmination, and then it releases. You know, it kind of is a celebration. It's interesting, because it's so intense. I'm kind of thinking that maybe this is a character that is supposed to be on our side, but has been converted. Now I'm looking at his eyes. Maybe this is a character that we should trust, or we normally would believe in, but it's been eroded by, maybe it's been possessed by the abyss or something, right? There's a mixture here of both like, no, we don't want to fight. Oh God, okay, I guess we have to. Like, there's something in that there's some opposition. Because it's very intense, but it's also celebratory at the same time. It's very hard to describe to you with words without also being able to look at the sheet music. So it's cool. Oh, so that was the weekly boss theme, and this is the Archon Quest exclusive theme here. Oh. Yes, I mean, this is the unifying of the forces. This is the power of friendship kind of come together, combining itself and being able to stand up to it. I mean, we see this in Final Fantasy XIV. This is like the rehashing of the theme, bringing it back. Personally, it loses me a little bit. I'm not crazy about like the drum kit thing. I don't mind the guitar. I don't mind like the sort of anime opening sound there. I also think it's a very smart idea to recap the main theme. So it kind of loses the like a little bit of the grandeur for me, for my personal taste. That said, I do think it's done really well. It feels really intentioned and specific for why it's like that, because it's like you need a bright sound, a positive, warm, rehash return, especially if this is like a situation that's incredibly dire and we have to unite our forces. That makes sense. Please don't linger on the fact that I said I'm not really crazy about that. In fact, I don't actually like that very much, but I don't think it's badly composed. Let's keep it broad and keep thinking about what else about this is really cool. I will say I also really like the sped up tempo of the main Natlan theme, which I think is, again, works really, really well, because again, it's this idea of like culminating all of the forces to unite themselves, even if it's like 6 people, let's say, against this thing. And this thing probably is supposed to help us and be a part of our team, and or maybe it's just about like uniting front and turning force towards this battle. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nice stretch. Actually, that's really nice. Yeah, I mean, the electric guitar is super bright. I actually love that warmth in that. So it's interesting because the electric guitar is up the upper register of its range. It's really bright, really welcoming, and it really feels like, okay, we have to gather ourselves to face this foe, and we have to do it with brightness and with, I mean, I hate to say the power of friendship. I don't want to demean it, but there's like a degree of the power of friendship. Like, let's, with our powers combined, let's, we will defend Natlan. You know what I mean? Like, there's we will remove the abyss. Like, that's the sort of like sound quality that comes through that. There's a lot of really nice stuff. The stretching of that Natlan, da 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 da. Loved it. Like, that's really, really cool because the whole thing is fast, and then they have just a little bit of stretch. Really kind of hits home the emphasis. It's really the drum set. I don't really mind the guitar. In fact, I think the electric guitar is nice, and in plenty of other boss themes, whether it's Asdaha, the electric guitar in Signora's theme, I got no problem with it. I think here too it works really well. The drum set to me cheapens it a little bit and makes it feel less urgent. I think if we had kept like the sort of string backing there, like a little bit more, and it's in here, but I think if we had prioritized the orchestra and then thrown in the electric guitar, I think that would have been really cool. Plus the choir shifting from what we heard in the first phase to this phase. I think that would have been a really, really nice way to keep that movement of the previous, like connecting the two things. So these feel very distinctly separate. So I'm not crazy about the drum set. In fact, I think it really takes away from it. That said, the electric guitar is awesome, especially when it riffs up in the upper register. I really, really, really like when the choir. I want to go back to that actually. Hold on. Yeah, right there. You can hear it. That's just so like, we gotta do this. We can do this. What does that sound like? It sounds like joy. It sounds like, yeah, we can. I think all told, I really, really like this. But I think the first half is so, it's basically like a FromSoft or a Monster Hunter Wilds piece of music. It's really, really well done. And it's not to say that this back half is not well done. It is. But it just like, it doesn't feel as powerful or as like dire. You know what it feels like? It feels like we gather everything, we put our, again, this is like your Captain Planet, you put the rings together and you create, I don't know, like a megazord of Notlanian of fire. You know, you're protecting the, like, it feels very like, let's go, you know what I mean? And it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I personally, my personal taste isn't quite aligned with that. That said, I really like, I'm actually going to rewind even further because I missed it the first time. I think it's right around here. Yeah, this is cool. So this is really dope. So we have this fast-paced thing pretty much the whole time. Bum, 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 bum. So all this staccato stuff, fine. It's cool because now we have the horns. Legato, we're stretching it. This comes in again. This is going da 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 da, right? And that's a row. That's actually a rallentando that slows down. That's actually really dope. That's a great transition because it's like da 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 boom da 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 instead of boom da 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 da, which wouldn't be as impactful as if we did this. See, that's fast. That's accents, and then watch. Da 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 da. Yeah. Da da ya da 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 da. And that's also the most heroic corner right there. Da 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 na na. Bright aval. Ta. It's like the sun rising, right? It's like the flame engulfing the situation. It's like the water washing away the storm or what have you, like any movie where the water washes away the bad stuff. Like that's really the theme here. Unison guitar with the sopranos. This is climbing up. Yeah. Repeating it, but with fuller instruments. Still a little bit of challenge there. See, this is cool because now the drum set actually makes a lot of sense to me, and I actually love it here. Because here it's like doubling down because we actually slowed down the tempo a little bit. And we're doing a lot of that actually causes more tension because it feels like, okay, this is the final push. You can do it. Just 10% more, 5% more. It's almost like anytime you listen to, like in Monster Hunter, you have like, I've been playing a lot of that lately, which is why it comes to mind. But it's like Proof of a Hero. It's like, that's the moment, bum, 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 so it's the same kind of vibe. So here the drum set makes a lot of sense to me. It's just the middle part where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really like that. Whereas here it's like, oh yeah, we're kicking in. Like this is the push to the final moment. You know what I mean? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. Oh, double bass. See, that's sick. Yeah. Hold, stretch, loud, boom. Yeah, classic ending there. See, that's amazing. Like that feels really, really good. I also love how we're like tying together Notlan kind of in a bow, almost as if to say like, hey, Notlan's almost over. Here's the final boss. Here's this moment here. Let me recap this with the Notlan theme that we've heard a million times, the slower version we've heard before. And now let's get a little bit of a faster version, sort of like heralding the fact that we love Notlan. We want to ensure that Notlan is successful, happy, healthy, whatever, right? All of that comes together and culminates really in this last maybe minute and a half. Really enjoyed this back half. Again, I mean, the first half is like really dark, kind of majestically like terrifying, right? Then the middle section, not my favorite. Really like the electric guitar. Really appreciate the return of that Natlan motif. Really appreciate what I mentioned earlier, that sort of stretching that we do and that little rallentando, little pullback in the tempo as we sing the da da ya da 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 da. Lots of really nice instrumentation, of course. And then this back half actually is when the drum set actually takes over and is way more interesting and way more of a real like support system for everything that's happening around it, including tying that Natlan theme back in with a bow. And it's just really, really nice. What a great piece. Really enjoyed that. You know, I'm really curious about where we're going to go with Snezhnaya. I'm really intrigued to see how much emphasis we'll be putting on strings and orchestral music. Maybe they'll go in a different direction altogether. I'm willing to always give it a shot. I'm always curious to see what the team at Genshin does. Yeah, this was nice. Thanks a ton, everybody, and I'll see you later. Bye.